I should have known the first time I caught them. It wasn't even subtle, just careless enough to feel like a slap across the face. I remember walking into our apartment, the one I had picked out because I knew Laya would love the natural light in the mornings. The coffee was still warm, her mug on the counter, and her laugh echoing faintly from the bedroom. I thought maybe she was on the phone. But when I pushed open the door, there they were, her fingers still tucked into his hair, his hand tangled in the strap of her tank top. My brother, my fucking brother. Time didn't freeze. That's a myth. Instead, it turned molten, slow and heavy and searing through my skull. I didn't say anything. Not right then. I just turned, walked out, and let the door swing shut behind me. The betrayal didn't hit all at once. It came in waves. A month passed. I didn't confront either of them. I couldn't. I wasn't ready. Instead, I let silence wrap around me like armor. Let them think I hadn't seen. Let them wonder. It was cruel. I know that now, but it was the only control I had left. The second time I caught them, it wasn't by accident. I had started watching, waiting, not because I wanted to confirm what I already knew, but because I wanted to see just how far they'd go, thinking I was still the idiot who loved them both. They met in secret, though not well enough to outsmart me. His car parked 2 streets over, her lies barely held together by worn-out threads. She told me she was at yoga. He said he was working late. I watched them laugh over coffee, fingers brushing too long to be innocent. I followed them once, all the way to that hotel by the marina. I waited outside for hours, soaked by rain, until they emerged, careless and flushed. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't tell anyone. Instead, I made a plan. The plan wasn't for revenge. Not really. It was for clarity, for power, for the small, unspoken satisfaction of knowing that one day I'd walk away from them both, not broken, not begging, but rebuilt, and silent. In public, I played my role perfectly. I kissed Laya's forehead when we met friends for drinks. I helped my brother move into his new apartment, lifting boxes with the same hands that had once carried his broken body home from fights and bad decisions. I wanted them to squirm under my kindness. When I finally left her, it was on a Tuesday morning. No fireworks, no grand confession. I simply packed my bags while she was at work, left my key on the counter, and walked out. I left no note. She didn't deserve an explanation. 2 days later, she called me 27 times. I didn't answer a single one. On the 28th try, she left a voicemail. Her voice cracked as she asked why. No mention of my brother, no apology, just confusion, laced with panic. She didn't know I had seen. He reached out too, a pathetic text that said, "Bro, we need to talk." Bro, the audacity. I blocked them both. There's a silence that follows betrayal. Not the calm kind, the kind that rings like a scream in a cathedral, echoing through your bones long after the source is gone. That silence kept me company for months. I moved across the city, changed my number, took a job that paid less but made me feel alive again. Every morning, I woke up in an apartment that didn't smell like her shampoo or his cologne, and it was enough. Just barely, but enough. People told me healing takes time. They said closure comes when you confront the pain. But I found peace in doing neither. I let the wound breathe until scar tissue formed over it naturally. Then, one day, almost a year later, I saw them again. It was at a mutual friend's engagement party. I hadn't planned on going. But something in me wanted to be seen, thriving, unbothered. I dressed sharp, not flashy, just intentional. I knew Laya would be there. I didn't know he would be too. They arrived together, holding hands, matching gold bands on their fingers. I blinked once, then smiled. She looked at me like a ghost had walked through the room. He looked away. For a moment, it felt like everything I'd been burying rose to the surface. The questions, the rage, the urge to spit venom. But I didn't. I walked up, offered a casual "congratulations," and moved on. That was the closure they never expected, and exactly what they deserved. After that night, something shifted. Not because I had forgiven them. I hadn't. I never would. But because I no longer needed them to hurt to prove I had healed. I started writing again, something I hadn't done in years. Poetry, mostly. Sharp, unforgiving verses that carved my story into the page. I read them aloud at open mics, faceless crowds applauding words they didn't know were born from my own unraveling. One night, a woman approached me after a reading. Her name was Aaliyah. She had hair like wildfire, and eyes that studied me like I was a puzzle she didn't want to solve too quickly. She told me my words made her feel understood. I told her that was the point. We started seeing each other, slowly, gently. She asked about my past, but I gave her the truth in small fragments. She never pressed. In her arms, I found something Laya never gave me: quiet safety. Not excitement, not adrenaline, just peace. It scared me, but I stayed. Sometimes, in the quietest moments, I still think about the two of them, not with longing or hatred, but with curiosity. I wonder if they wake up every day and feel the weight of what they did, or if they've convinced themselves that love justifies betrayal. I'll never ask. And that's the most powerful thing I own now: the choice not to chase answers that won't make me whole. A year and a half after I left, I received a letter, handwritten, no return address. The handwriting was unmistakable. Laya. It started with, "I know I don't deserve this," which was at least one honest sentence. She rambled about how she hadn't stopped thinking about me, how it was a mistake, how love isn't always clean. She said she missed my laugh, my steadiness, the way I made her feel seen. She didn't mention him until the third page. "They say people make mistakes," she wrote. "But what if the biggest mistake was choosing wrong and realizing it too late?" I read it twice. Then I burned it. Not out of hatred, but because I refused to let her rewrite the story. She had her chapter. It ended the moment I walked away. There's a myth that heartbreak turns you bitter. Maybe it does for a while. But if you're lucky, if you fight hard enough to rebuild, it turns you into something else, something sharper, wiser, gentler to the right people. I don't forgive them. But I forgive myself for staying too long, for loving too deeply, for breaking quietly when I should have screamed. And maybe that's enough. Aaliyah asked me once if I'd ever want to see Laya again, not to reconcile, but just to talk. "No," I said. "Talking is a gift. She already took too much." We live in a world that worships closure like it's a finish line. But sometimes the real strength is in walking away without slamming the door, in never looking back. Because healing isn't loud. It's quiet, steady. 1,000 tiny choices to not let your past define your future. And I've made peace with mine.